Cool. So my name is Lucas McClish. I am a fourth-year environmental science major at The Ohio State University, specializing in ecosystem restoration. I guess starting off, I grew up out in rural Ohio around Mansfield area. We had a lot of beautiful places like Mohican State Park or Malabar Farm, if you've ever been. And around my house, I had woods and streams, and I just kind of grew up outside, and exploring these woods was really where I got to grow up in, and having all this space to run around in and enjoy. So then coming to the city was kind of hard at first, because then all of a sudden switching to an urban environment was very different. And it's tough not to be around this nature in these places, and I got to see handle a lot of environmental degradation just that comes from being around the city and the mass amount of people here. So it really got me thinking a lot about what I had growing up and how much I appreciated it, and having this beautiful space to be and just be out in nature and be kind of wild. So really, I guess I went away from one of the environmental aspects and got more involved in people, because there's so many in the city. So I've got to see more of the social side of things also. And while coming down here, I started attending a Church Veritas, and I really got to start taking more science-related classes and base classes, and really got to, as I pursued my faith further and then I pursued my education further, I got to see a lot of similarities between the two, and I kind of started to wrestle with how they go together, because a lot of time I was kind of taught growing up that they conflict and that they don't go together. So eventually, I guess the point where I'm at now is that I think that they very much don't butt heads, in that if you have just purely science, that you're missing a huge aspect, and you have purely faith, that you're missing an aspect. So I think that really the two complete each other in ways that I could honestly talk for hours about. So why I think other Christians should take action is something that was really hit me, that was mentioned earlier in discussion, was that there's general and specific revelations, I believe is what it was. And just these general revelations are ones that anybody can have in the environment. Almost, some people could call that common grace almost. And that when someone goes out into nature and they experience and they just stop and just realize the breadth and beauty of it, and are really struck by it, that's them experiencing God firsthand in a way that, even though they don't put those two together and see it in that way, it's a way for people to just connect with God. So I think that's important that we care about that, because it's almost a way of evangelizing, if you look at it that way, by preserving and restoring these areas so that people can encounter God, and that we can use these places to build natural relationships with other people and unadulterated by the quickness and the busyness and craziness of this fast-paced society that we live in. One of the first things I would encourage people in the church to do is just to stay informed, is to be aware of the issues going on around, whether environmental or social, or it's the socio-economical issues. Just be aware of what's happening, and I think that ignorance isn't an excuse in the day and age that we live in, where information is so readily accessible. And I think that part of being present and investing in people is understanding what's happening. And I think if we try to segregate ourselves off and we don't live with a worldly view, we're really just not carrying out our mission that we were called to.